Is Romans chapter 14 about keeping the Sabbath? When I tell Christians that as believers in Yeshua, we should be keeping the seventh day Sabbath, that is our Saturday, as part of the faith, they often quote from Romans 14, verse 5 and 6, to argue that we now have freedom from having to keep the Sabbath in the Messiah, and that we can choose any day to rest based on our own personal conviction. So what is the true context of Romans chapter 14? Let's take a look. Let's start by reading Romans 14, verse 5 and 6. One person esteems one day as better than another, while another esteems all days alike. Each one should be fully convinced in his own mind. The one who observes the day observes it in honor of the master. The one who eats it in honor of the master, since he gives thanks to Elohim, while the one who abstains in honor of the master, and gives thanks to Elohim. Now, using the proper context, this chapter was never about choosing which day to keep the Sabbath. Many pro-Torah, pronomian scholars interpret Romans 14, verse 5 and 6 as being about which days to fast. In the first century, devout Jews who followed Yeshua sometimes observed voluntary fast days each and every week, like every Monday and every Thursday. This was simply their tradition, and it was not commanded in the Torah. Thus, which days of the week one decides to abstain from eating were matters of personal choice and not a law given by Yahweh. Paul's response to this assembly in Rome is that believers should not judge one another over non-commanded religious tradition, including which days one should fast. Again, Romans 14 has nothing to do with what day to keep the Sabbath. So, when a dispensational Christian quotes Romans 14 to prove that the Sabbath is any day you choose, remind them of the proper context of Paul's words in this chapter, and point out even the important fact that Paul mentions eating and food while discussing the days in Romans 14, and he has nothing to say about resting. Keeping this all in mind, let's reread Romans 14, verse 5 and 6 with this context in mind. Romans 14, 5 and 6. One person esteems one day, that is, to fast, as better than another, while another esteems all days alike. Each one should be fully convinced in his own mind on what days to fast. The one who observes the day of fasting observes it in honor of the master. The one who eats that day, that is, he's not fasting, eats in honor of the master, since he gives thanks to Elohim, while the one who abstains, because he's fasting, abstains in honor of the master and gives thanks to Elohim. Hallelujah. Please share your thoughts below. And also, if you're looking for a scholarly, in-depth study of the book of Romans from a pro-Torah perspective, I personally really enjoy listening to Tom Bradford from Torah Class. I'll leave his Romans playlist in the description below. Thank you, and shalom.